and what a great day to sew something wonderful. I'm Kia with Kia B, and I'm so excited to be back with you today. If you watched our latest floss tube, you know that these videos are coming. I'm so excited to come out with another quilting tutorial. So we have actually partnered with a fantastic company called Precut, and they reached out to us a few months ago and asked if we would be willing to do their puzzle mystery quilt. And I've seen these done on YouTube several times, and I just think it's fantastic. And so I kind of got into where I was watching them quite a bit. So I jumped on it. I worked with Riley from Precut, and then more recently, Kimberly from Precut. Both are incredibly knowledgeable and just super helpful. So I have lots of questions when I start to do something new, and they were so patient with me to answer all of those questions. So thank you both very much. So let's get into it. Have you ever heard of Precut? This is a fabric company. They have several different subscriptions that you can subscribe to. That's what you do with subscriptions. But the one we are focusing on is the Puzzle Mystery Quilt. Now this runs for 10 months. You receive clues for 10 months. You have no idea what the end result is going to be. And then it makes a beautiful quilt. So there are 2 size options and several different fabric colorways. I chose Nadia, which you'll see later in the tutorial, and it's a beautiful Christmas fabric. I love it. And you can either do it in small or large. Now a small Puzzle Mystery Quilt subscription is $18.50 a month, and then a large will cost $27.50 a month. And I don't know, it's so awesome. I've been looking over their website and I just think it's really, really cool. Here are some past puzzle quilts that they've done. I mean, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And just the fact that I got to choose Christmas fabric, I was so excited for. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about them. They have so many different things. They used to only do 6 feature fabrics from a line. Now they're doing 8, which just gives you more color variety within your subscription, which is awesome. So each month they are pre-cut. Did I tell you guys that? They're pre-cut, you don't have to do any cutting. So I'm pulling up my email right here because I just want to make sure I give you all of the information. So they're pre-cut pieces. You'll see that within the tutorial. You don't have to do any cutting, and they give you a clue page that shows you exactly how to put your piecing together, which is awesome. So in today's tutorial, I took the clues. I gave you some tips and tricks just in case you don't have this kit and you just want to know, how do I sew on the bias? What are my pressing techniques? And so you just make a block a month. So let me show you what we made today, and then we'll get into the tutorial. There's one other thing in the package I want to talk about, and then we'll move on. Okay, so this is our first block. Look, can you guys see these little, look at this, these little mouse ears? Can you even? They're so cute. So we make 2 blocks that look like this, and then we make 4 units that look like this. And you guys, all of these flying geese are pre-cut with clipped corners. So there's no clipping, even dog ears, which if you are a quilter, you know that that's absolutely fantastic. Later in the video, I share with you a code that you can use to get a free gift when you sign up using my influencer code. The next thing that you'll see that's shipping to all of the Puzzle Mystery Quilt subscribers through Precut, you're gonna get an extra little package in your mail, in your box. And it's gonna say "Sew for Gold." And I wanna read to you what Kimberly wrote out for me, because I think this is fantastic. Right? So many of us have been watching the Olympics. So this is a challenge that will be shipped with everybody's first clue. There should be a blog post up about it now on Precut's website. And then ideally what you would do is use the 5 squares of fabric that are the color of the Olympic rings in a project to show us your interpretation of Olympic rings. You can use other fabrics from your stash, cut them up as small as you would like, and post your project to social media. 3 winners will receive a medal, gold, silver, and bronze, as well as a half-yard bundle of fabric, which are 8 prints equaling 4 yards, from their color mystery way. So if I were to do it and I were to get a medal, I would receive Nadia, which is the Christmas fabric, because that's the bundle I chose. It is open to only mystery detectives and has a due date of the end of August. So these don't have to be very large quilts or projects. They can be as small as a mug rug or coaster. So I think that's really fun that they've also included this little challenge in there for us. I haven't done anything with mine yet. I have ideas though that I think I want to try and to get on. So I will be posting that on social media as well. All right, well, I don't want to spend too much time talking because I spend a lot of time going through the fabrics and the sewing methods and all of those things. So if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave comments down below. I can walk you through my process. I can try and answer questions for you. If you get stuck, please don't hesitate to ask a question and I can try and help you through it. So thank you so much. I've already heard that several of you have signed up since we've already talked about it in our floss tubes, and I'm very excited about it. So let's do this all together. All right, let's get started. So let's go over some materials that we're gonna use very first, just so we can get that out of the way. So these are the instructions that were emailed to me. So I'm gonna set those to the side. You have your instructions at home. If you do not have a cotton cuts box and you were just following along for tips and tricks on how I sew in my own personal sewing space, absolutely, I'm gonna be giving tons of them, so stick along. All right, then I have this. So this was included in my package. This tells what fabric I'm using, and it is the 2021 Fall Puzzle Mystery Quilt. I chose Nadia, which is actually a Christmas fabric, and this is my fabric card here on the back. So this is super important to keep to the side because they're gonna be referencing fabric letters, not necessarily the fabric print or anything like that. So I want to keep this to the side to reference I'm using the right squares and triangles and strips. So I'm gonna set that to the side. I have my first package that has all my fabric and a little goodie in it. I grabbed some clover clips because I wasn't sure if I was going to use those or tulip pins, so I'll set those to the side. And then I am just using a mini Olasew little iron, and I got this. I love it. I think it's super handy. I love that it has the pointed tip too, and so it makes a really nice pressing. And then what I think makes my pressing just all the difference is my alpaca mat. So this is made from alpacas, and we get it from What Have You Farm, Sue. She is lovely. She sent us a mat a few years ago. I fell in love with it, and I now have a collection of them. I love them so much. I have many ones that go on the travel with me, and then I have one that sits here by my sewing machine and one that sits at my ironing station. There's no smell. My seams get pressed out so flat and lovely. I love them so much. So you can actually go to What Have You Farm. I'll link that website in the description box for you. And if you use my code KiaB15, you can get $15 off a fat quarter size or larger. And I'm telling you, I love it. I think it makes all the difference in my pressing. All right, so let's get our package open very first. So, I'm so excited about this fabric. It's so pretty. All right, first off, ooh, these are so soft. So we got 2 lovely pins. They're almost like they're like velvety on the outside. Super cute, love those. Such a cute little surprise goodie. And then here is all of our fabric. So look at that print, cute. Okay, I'm actually gonna set these over here off camera, but you'll see them as I'm piecing them together. Look at the presents. Oh my goodness, that's cute. Okay, so I've got those squares, little reindeer head and antlers. Look at this little like mouse. Oh, these triangles. And then I have some larger ribbon strips. So let's look at our very first clue and get these blocks put together. All right, so it says for section 1A, we'll be making 4 of the following section. 2 of these will be section A and the remaining 2 will be section 1A, and the remaining 2 will be used for section 1C. So it says join a triangle F. So you'll see in the instructions that it references the letters. So we want to make sure and grab the correct letters. So that's why your fabric card is super important. So F, if I look on my sheet here, F is that pinky color and it's a triangle. So I need to grab one of these here, and then an A, which is my little cute mouse with the stars on it, like this, and then another F like this. And this is gonna make a little flying geese unit. Okay, so you'll notice on these, there are dog-eared corners here. I'm sorry, there are cut corners here. This prevents dog ears, and so they have pre-cut these for us. Cotton Cuts does a fantastic job of like pre-cutting all the fabric. So I don't have to sit here and like cut. I can just do the fun part of piecing it all together. So what I'll do here is I will line up those cut corners just like that. Now this does make this cut here on the diagonal, so that's our bias. So if I were to push and stretch this, it's going to stretch out of shape. So I want to make sure and be careful not to do that. So I'm gonna dump out my tulip head pins here. I'm actually gonna pin straight in the middle first here. That's the lovely thing about this alpaca mat too, because I can poke right through it to help me piece. All right, so I've got one there in the middle because we don't want to play around with this seam right here too much. And then I'm gonna put one at each end here. Now all of your seam allowances, it says, are 1/4 inch. So we'll get that together here. And I'm gonna take this to the sewing machine and sew down this edge 1/4 inch. Okay, so here we are. I'm gonna set this seam first, just by pressing that down. And then we'll pull this back. Now again, because this is on the bias, you wanna be super careful not to stretch that at all. So we're just gonna lay our iron to the side and press gently. Just like this, and we're gonna repeat for the other side. Okay, and here is our finished unit. Now, the nice thing about Cotton Cuts is it tells you what your unit should measure. So if you're not confident in your 1/4 inch seam, just pull out your ruler and make sure that this measures the amount that your instructions say. And that is our very first flying geese unit. So it does actually tell us that we need 4 of these total. So I'm gonna do those off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we have all of our flying geese made, and I'm gonna set those to the side. And it says first for us to join a square A to the left of 2 of these. So square A from my color card is the stars. So that's on 2 of them. And so what I'll do here is just line up my edges and throw 2 pins in this, and that just helps me keep it straight here. Now I'll take it over to the sewing machine and sew 1/4 inch down this side here. All right, so I've got 2 of these and 2 of these units. And now I need to put the opposite on the other side. So on the right side, I need to put the opposite fabric of what is on the left side. So for these, they'll get presents, which I believe in my pack is fabric C. And then for the presents that are already there, they will get a fabric A. So it's the exact same process. Let me move these to the side so I can show you. So we've got our flying geese with a unit A attached to the left. Now we need to attach a unit C this direction. So all I will do is flip it over, line up my edges here, and you can trim if they're not like after you sew, you can trim the edges if they're not lining up a little bit. Just a hairline isn't gonna matter. But with the pre-cut things, that's the nice thing. They should line up as long as your 1/4 inch seam is pretty on point. They should line up exactly. And there is one of our units. I should have opposite fabrics coordinating here. And then I'm just going to continue that for the rest of mine. So here's a fabric A. Now I need a fabric C on this side. So now I have all of those done. So what you should have are 4 units. So we've got, here's our first unit. Let me set these out of the way so we can clearly see. Here's our first unit with an A and a C and the point going down. Here's our second with an A and a C and our point going up. Here's a third, A, C, point going down, and then an A and a C and point going up. So that is, by the instructions, what we should have, I believe. Now what it says to do is to take 2 of these units, one with a point going up and one with a point going down, and to attach one of our unit D strips in the middle. So then it should look like this. So here is my suggestion for that. First and foremost, I want to press this unit D, or fabric D rather, because being folded in that package, it definitely has its wrinkles. And if any of your fabric has its wrinkles or anything, it's important to press it out first. So I'm gonna do that. And we all know the difference between pressing and ironing. So pressing is lifting your fabric, or I'm sorry, lifting your iron every time you move it on the fabric. Ironing is gonna iron it out of shape back and forth and stretch the bias out. So let me move my tulip pins here. All right, so we've got our D strip here. We want the first one to go this direction. And I'm gonna sew this to this first. So what I'll do here is I will actually flip over my unit and I will again pin in the middle first. I'm gonna pin at each seam here, not because there's a seam to join up to, but it's a nice place to get a good handle on your fabric. And then I'll go towards the end here, like this. And then keeping our line straight in the seam here. And in the end here. And I'll take this to the machine and sew 1/4 inch down that direction. We'll pull that back. I'm gonna press this seam flat on actually both sides this time to set the seam, because the instructions actually tell us to press in towards our fabric D. So we're gonna press toward D. I'm gonna press, not iron. This mat really helps that, just be able to press more straight as well. Okay, flip that over, because our fabric D is our middle here. Now we want to attach our other unit, which should match here. So we've got our C on this side and our A on this side. Now I want to flip this over and press it, pin it the exact same way I did the other one. So I'm checking here to make sure my points are matching. so that way I know it's in the center. Then I will pin it once and I'll turn it around so it's easier for me to see. All right, so there is one block in the instructions tell us that we need to make two. So you'll need to make a second one just like this with your remaining flying geese units that you've already made. All right, guys, let's have a chat about real life. So as I'm putting away things and thinking like, wow, my blocks look so nice, but why do I have this extra fabric? And just being really confused as to why I have extra pieces. That would be because I did not read the instructions fully. So I need to backtrack a little bit. That's okay. You know, it's real life, it happens. And I wanted to show you that instead of like refilming everything and doing this all over again. No, this is real life. So I made a mistake. So these two blocks, yes, you do absolutely need those. So we did not make a mistake here. Where I made the mistake is that we actually need a few more units to save for later. So we have these, so we have fabric C squares left over, triangles, and triangle F, and then triangle A. So what we need to do is make some more of those flying geese units with a C attached. So let me show you that process one more time, and then we can get those made. So we still need 4 of these. So we've got an A and 2 Fs for each one. So we need to make 4 of these units again. So there is one of my flying geese made. So again, this is just real life, right? I mean, this happens. So next, what it says that we need to do is we need to make 2 of these with our fabric C square going on this side, and then 2 of these with our fabric C square going on this side. So what we should have, let me show you our instructions here. What we should have is 4 of these individual units and then 2 of these larger blocks. So we've already made these. We're working on these now. So I'm just going to speed up my sewing and you can watch me do that. All right, so now all 4 of our units are done. So we should have 2 that look like this with our, 2 that look like this with our fabric C square on the right, and then 2 that look like this with our fabric C square on the left. So we should have 2 of these, and then 2 of these larger units. So that is our very first clue. I apologize. I was a little bit confused as to why I had extra fabric. So there we go. I will give you another little tip with especially sewing these flying geese. I love that Cotton Cuts pre-cuts and even puts the clipped corners on so that we don't have to trim off our dog ears. I would say I got a little lazy there at the end and didn't pin all the way, and it makes our pressing harder. You can get ripples because that's the bias. So don't do what I did. Make sure that you pin all the way across. And then lastly, I would just take your time. Go slower. Don't try and like make it a race. But this pre-cut with the clipped corners just makes this flying geese so much easier. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below, and thank you for watching.